Hi, I'm Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of Regulator. Welcome to this week's Regulatory Roundup, hosted from a very spooky house that is haunted by the memory of being clean. This week there were 2,029 alerts, a record from 384 unique U.S. regulators, and 412, another record, had to do with coronavirus. The regulator of the week was the CFTC. In addition to hosting a joint meeting with the SEC to discuss margin rules, they also announced a memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and the Bank of England related to central clearing counterparties and derivatives. The topic of the week is antitrust. Starting with Google, one may perceive the DOJ filing on Google to be part of a vendetta from the Trump administration. However, there are multiple states joining in on the suit, including Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, South Carolina, and Texas. And before you think, hey, is this a blue state, red state thing? Well, the New York AG is conducting a separate investigation, and they said if they found anything, they would consolidate with the wider DOJ case. Beyond Google, the Conference of State Bank Supervisors has officially supported the DOJ Antitrust Division's efforts to modernize bank merger guidelines and offered some recommendations. For those of you following cannabis, Regulator is pleased to announce that we are officially producing a weekly cannabis alerts feed, internally referred to as the weed feed. If you're interested in getting a sense of what came out this week, send me a note at help@regulator.ai. Lots going on in Compliance Corner this week, as usual. FinCEN and the Fed propose new rules that redefine the word money to include digital currencies and increase the types of transactions you have to report if they're international. I've been watching FinCEN for the last few weeks, and if you are a RegTech company or a CAMS consultant who specializes in money laundering, or maybe even you're the head of onboarding somewhere, the AML KYC rules are in the process of changing, and almost no one is talking about it. From the Patriot Act to the Bank Secrecy Act. And if you're following this, your technological infrastructure is going to be behind. So I strongly advise you to sign up for Regulator so that you are in the know. If you are at a national bank or a federal savings association or even a federal bank branch, the OCC just issued a revised handbook for the examiners to look at your concentrations of credit. I know a number of you are also following the CRA. There were speeches this week, testimony, and interestingly, a new proposal on the table from the Democratic senators called the Fair Access to Financial Services Act. For those of you in RRP or Living Will, the federal bank agencies issued final rules around TLAC and NSFR. Senior exploitation is still a concern across the board in many states. FINRA's Sanctions Committee is the latest regulator to update their guidance with a specific bent on the age of the victim. For those of you following best interest and suitability, Virginia is the latest state to adopt a change to their rule around suitability for annuities. In Crypto Corner, there were 3 SEC enforcement actions having to do with virtual currencies and a cease and desist case out of Nebraska. For those of you following cybersecurity, NIST is inviting organizations to participate in their Zero Trust Cybersecurity Architecture project. Participation is open to all interested organizations. The government of Louisiana renewed their cybersecurity state of emergency that resulted from a government data breach back in late 2019. Our fine tracker this week is yet another record breaker. Goldman Sachs got fined by the Fed, the SEC, and the Department of Justice for over $2.9 billion. And yes, that is a B. In short, bribery in Malaysia, but more notably for this audience, the Fed issued yet another fine for failure to maintain proper controls. Uber and Lyft got bad news this week as the California AG told them they need to go back to re-identify all of their drivers as employees. And Hewlett-Packard settled with the Department of Labor over allegations of systemic pay discrimination against 391 female employees in several states. While not admitting liability, it is going to pay $1.4 million in back pay. For those of you following LIBOR transition, the CME Group announced a slew of rule amendments having to do with SOFR prices. For those of you following social justice, New Jersey signed 3 bills this week having to do with compassionate release programs. For those of you following insurance, fire insurance is a hot topic right now, and the California Department of Insurance had a hearing on how to make fire insurance available and affordable for policyholders while preserving some sort of competitive insurance market. And for those of you following sports betting, yes, that's you, Scott, Sixnall, and Koretsky. The Virginia Lottery Board created 3 new chapters in their books to establish a sports betting regulatory program. That's it for Regulator's US Alerts. Hope it wasn't too scary, but I wish you a very happy Halloween. Join me every Wednesday morning on LinkedIn, and for the longer version, see us on YouTube.